Kevin Minton, and I'm the owner and CEO of Chief Executive Boards International, and I want to thank you for taking time to join us for today's webinar, really a preview on our 4321 Strategic Core workshop that we have coming up in January. What we're going to do is we're going to take a bit of time today just to walk you through, give you some highlights as to what this workshop is going to entail and what you'll learn and what you can anticipate. And so we just wanted to give you a little brief overview of that. But before we do, I thought what I'd do is just tell you a little bit about Chief Executive Boards for those who are not familiar with the organization. We are headquartered in Greenville, South Carolina, and we have executive peer advisory boards in multiple cities throughout the United States. And I'll be your host today. So before we dive straight in, really what we do is we are a boutique executive peer advisory service, and we have local boards throughout the U.S. and Eastern and Midwest states, and the purpose really of CEBI is to help CEOs, presidents, and business owners to share ideas and experiences, and really to avoid the the pitfalls and the potholes that many have already experienced. So in other words, we help to steer you from reinventing the wheel, so to speak, within your own business. So our members, they convene in face-to-face forums and receive unvarnished advice in safe and confidential environments that's typically unavailable elsewhere. And it's really like having your own personal think tank. So in other words, we address what keeps you up at night. Our members can avail of national and local advisory board forums, and they attend educational summits and webinars such as this one. And they also have access to our libraries, our workshops, the member directory, and so forth. So before we get started, this webinar will probably take about somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes, I would imagine. And you can post your questions in the question panel box over on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will answer those questions at the end of the webinar. The webinar is also being recorded, and so if you stay with us until the end, we'll advise you on how you can access the recorded version, and we'll also provide you with the contact details and the pertinent information regarding the logistics of the webinar or the workshop at the end as well. So with that, I'd like to introduce our presenter today. This is the gentleman who's going to be hosting the workshop for us, Mr. David Rippey, who is the owner of Celestial International, and he's also an advisor to Chief Executive Boards, has been for a few years now. Facilitates some of our workshops and also some of our local and national boards for us as well. So with that, I'm gonna ask David if he'll jump in. David, would you like to join us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate it. So we're going to go through the 4321 Strategic Core Workshop Preview, and the first question that everybody asks is who will benefit from this workshop. And I've been doing this workshop for 15 years now, and it really is a roll-up-your-sleeves kind of workshop for CEOs, presidents, business owners, entrepreneurs, and their senior leadership teams. It's going to provide a really great framework for the key essentials to run your business. And when you leave the workshop, you're going to walk out with a viable, powerful, workable strategic plan that will keep your team aligned. So that's a lot to live up to. So we're going to show you how we do that. We're going to jump right into the Strategic Core preview here. And the framework is really based on what we call the 4321, hence the name 4321 Strategic Core, which is basically 4 essentials, 3 disciplines, 2 drivers, and 1 strategic plan. And with regard to the 4 essentials of any business are people, which if you have the right people doing the right things, then you love going to get up and going to work, and there's happiness in your life. If you don't have the right people and you don't like going to work, then you're not happy because you have a lot of problems at work. The strategy piece of this is about revenue and growth. execution, which is really gives you profit, and then as a business owner or senior executive also gives you time. And then of course cash is about oxygen, fuel for growth, and it gives you options in your business. The 3 execution disciplines are about priorities, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into each of these. Not too deep because we don't have time for that, and that's what the essence of the workshop is. But when you have the right priorities in place, these are 3 things that you have to get right in order for your business to succeed. So you have to have the right priorities, and that gives alignment to your senior team and then the teams underneath your senior team. You have to have the right data and metrics, which gives you and the organization clarity and foresight. And then you have to have the right meeting rhythms to make better, faster decisions so the company can pulse quickly. Then there are 2 drivers, and any decision that you make has things that offset. So any problem that you face, any solution that you're looking for is going to have a people component or a process component or both. And on the people side, it's about relationships, and on the process side, it's about transactions and activities. So in the workshop, we go very deeply into those 2 drivers. And of course, ultimately, what you want is you want a strategic plan that can act as a catalyst, that can give you the skills to execute against that plan, and then ensures alignment of your senior team and everyone underneath it. So even though we have these a little bit out of order, I'm going to start with cash because that's the easiest one. As I said a little bit earlier, cash, when you make cash decisions, that gives you oxygen for the company. It's your fuel for growth. If you don't have cash, you're out of business, and you don't have options, and obviously you can't grow. So we go through a number of exercises. One is called the cash conversion cycle. The cash conversion cycle, we will do this in the workshop, and it'll show you the 4 areas in which you could increase your cash conversion. So get your money quicker, or perhaps even get your money up front just by thinking about it differently. So we'll take you through that. And when we're working with the cash conversion cycle, what we will do is we'll take you through the 3 criteria. It needs to eliminate a mistake, it needs to shorten the cycle time of one of those 4 things, and it needs to improve your business model. And we will, in that workshop, identify with you how we can optimize your cash. Then we get into people. And people brings you clarity, it brings accountability, and it brings the right people in the right seats. The trouble is that with people, you often have people in the wrong seats. You have seats with multiple names in them, and I say seats, so maybe you have 3 people who do marketing. Or you have 1 person who is in marketing, sales, and is also the CFO. So you could have people with multiple seats. You could have not too many people, or a person occupying too many seats. Or you could have nobody occupying seats. So in other words, nobody in charge of marketing or nobody in charge of sales. And we'll go through an exercise there that will be very powerful and will show you where the gaps are in your organization. Show you how to ask the right questions and to actually rate your staff so that you know what your right seats are. Are your people doing the right things? And then what's really important is if you have the right people, how do you? Well, first of all, you have to get them. Then you keep them, and how do you grow them? So how do you keep, and grow your team, which is essential to your success, because you can have a good strategy, but with great people can execute a good strategy and make it excellent. Bad people cannot execute a great strategy. It defeats the purpose of it. So we'll take you through people, and then let's jump into strategy. So over the course of the time that we spend on it, we will spend most of our time inside execution, but you can't execute unless you know what your strategy is. So strategy provides inspiration, it provides direction for the future, and it allows you to make the right decisions on an ongoing basis as you execute. So with the strategy, we'll look at your core values, your purpose. We'll figure out how we'll work with you to show you how you can develop a handful of rules that remain constant, how to align it with your HR systems, and then 8 ways to work your core values into your DNA, which are essential to creating proper culture inside your organization. And then your core competencies will also be a critical exercise that we go through, which your core competencies need to be not easy to imitate by your competitors, can be widely used or reused for many products and markets that you might be participating in, and also contributes to end user experience and benefit. And that exercise is always eye-opening for most organizations. And then I'm assuming that most people on the call are familiar with SWOT, SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What is your firm great at and not so great at? And we'll take you through that exercise so that everybody that is participating in the workshop is very clear and aligned on where your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. It's very important to your strategy. And then we're going to go through BHAG, which is your big, hairy, audacious goal. Where do you want to be in 15 or 10, 15, 25 years? That's really a stretch goal for you in terms of dreaming big. And then we'll reverse engineer from that when we get to the execution piece. So we go then to your 3 to 5 year plan. We establish financial targets. Actually, when I say we, I mean you. I will be facilitating along with Kevin, but this will be work on your company in your real world business. So it's not just pie in the sky financial targets. They're very specific to you. So we'll look at financial targets. We'll work with you on that. We'll work with you on your sandbox, and we'll work with you on key trusts and capabilities. And your sandbox, if you're not familiar with the term, it's basically where you're going to sell, which is what your sales territory is, what you will sell, what your product lines are, and who you're going to sell to. It's a little more complicated than that, and we'll get into that much more deeply when we meet in January. And then we'll go through your key trusts and capabilities to fulfill your 3 to 5 year plan. So what are the big initiatives that you have to put in place if you're going to grow, say, by 10 million in 3 years or 5 years? Well, you might need training. You might need HR resources. You might need a new IT system. You might need processes. There's a lot of things that could be part of that, and you'll identify those very clearly, and your whole team will be in agreement on it. And then we'll work with you on your brand promise, which is based on your lead promise, and then 2 supporting promises, and then how you're going to measure that. So it might sound a little daunting, but it's actually a very fun exercise, and one of those things that will help to define your organization very clearly. And then we'll take some time, and we'll go through catalytic mechanisms that will produce results in an unpredictable way, help you to distribute power for the benefit of the overall system being your company, that will have a sharp set of teeth. And we'll go through some examples, and you'll either want to do this or not do this. Some people are not as advanced as they need to be to put a catalytic mechanism in at first, and so they need to do some of these other things before they can get to the catalytic mechanism part, but we'll take you through that anyway. And then we get to the execution. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time, because this is where you're really significantly working on your business, and it affects all those other areas. It affects cash, it affects people, and it affects your strategy. This is how you're going to execute against it. So it's about process, it's about repeatability, and it's about pattern recognition. We'll also take you through mechanisms to collect data, which is one of the 3 disciplines. And not only data, but customer feedback, why dashboards are important in terms of not being blindsided, helps you to focus on the right things, and allows you to spend more time on solving problems. So we're going to go through examples of dashboards, and then we'll go through an exercise in terms of what are the dashboards that are very specific to your company that you might need to create. Because there's power in accountability. So it's metrics for the company, accountable by your people. And we'll go through a detailed metrics exercise there. Then we'll start getting into execution decisions, like an annual plan, a quarterly plan, themes, and individual accountability. I realize I'm going fast through this, but we're trying to keep this down to 30, 35 minutes. And we just want to make sure that you get a taste of this. We'll spend ample time in the workshop going through all of these things. So it's not going to, we're basically, it's a total of, it spans 3 days, but it's a total of 2 days of roll up your sleeves work. So we're gonna, we're gonna spend a lot of time on your annual plan and your 3-year plan and your quarterly plan. On the annual plan, we're going to establish financial targets, your key initiatives, and your critical number. And critical number is what numbers do you need to look at? It's usually two, that to drive your short-term priorities. And the critical number is usually a people number and a process number that you look at on a regular basis. And many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the term KPIs or key performance indicators. We'll look at your defining KPIs in 6 key areas for your business and your industry that can help you to ensure that you're on track. So there'll be leading indicators that we'll define and lagging indicators that we'll define specific to your company. Obviously, you're going to do the heavy lifting and the chopping of wood and carrying of water here, but we'll show you how to do that, and then you'll spend time figuring that out. Then we'll take the numbers and the information from the quarterly plan, and we'll bring it back to the next quarter. So you'll have a quarterly plan that will come from the annual plan that needs to support it. They need to be integrated. And again, we'll have financial targets, very specific financial targets that are yours, your top priorities, or your rocks, and your critical numbers. And then we will go into themes, and a lot of people say, well, what do we need a theme for? Well, a theme helps you to focus, and it allows you to take your plans and what you want to accomplish in the next quarter, your challenges, your successes, your opportunities, takes all this stuff that's on the left side of the screen, puts it through that prism, and then makes a theme allows you to come out with the right thing to focus on. So themes can really motivate people from the receptionist all the way up to the CEO. A lot of times people do incentive programs and themes specifically to the sales force to the exclusion of everybody else in the organization. But if you want to create a real esprit de corps, and if you really want people to charge up San Juan Hill, then we need a theme, or you need a theme, that can go throughout your organization and get everybody motivated. So actually a lot easier and a lot more fun than it sounds. So we'll work with you on themes. And then one of the net results out of this is that, yeah, you can have a BHAG, and you can have your core ideologies, you can have your strategy, you can have your top grading of your people, you can do all that work, but if everybody on your senior team is not aligned, if you don't have an individual plan that aligns with your quarterly plan and your annual plan, then you're going to remain siloed. So we have to have individual plans in which each person in your senior team, anybody who's attending the workshop, they define their 1 to 3 personal key performance indicators, and then they also have their top 5 and the top 1 of 5 of their rocks for the quarter. So there's an individual plan that goes with the quarterly plan, which goes with the 1-year plan, which feeds into the 3-year plan. So it all starts to come together at that level. Then we go into priorities, and we do quality checks. So we make sure with the individual plan that there's, I just discussed this a little bit, and we make sure individual priorities are aligned with the quarterly goals, as I said earlier. The completeness, we make sure the company priorities are covered by someone on the team, not everyone on the team, because you can't have everyone doing everything. You get into a lot of problems that way. And then we check the who, what, when. And the who, what, when is just a remarkable document that allows people and companies to stay on task week to week to week. And it's one of the most powerful tools that you'll be introduced to. And you'll end up wanting to use this in every meeting you have. So the who, what, when checks the individual priorities and makes sure that we didn't miss a big thing or a big company priority that somebody missed. So, when you're in a meeting, we all hear different things. We all have our own filters, and the who, what, when makes sure that everything is clear and aligned. And then we go into, and this is very important, and I will, you'll hear me say this at the workshop. I am not a fan of meetings. I'm not a fan of, actually, let me restate that. I'm not a fan of meetings that seem to be the same meeting over and over and over again. What I am a fan of is meetings that move the ball forward, that allow the company to focus, allow the issues to change from week to week or month to month. So meeting rhythms are a great way to do that. It allows you to act faster, allows you to focus on the right things, and it gives you pattern recognition to analyze data. So we'll spend a decent amount of time on meeting rhythms and show you exactly how to conduct those meetings. So Here's a rough way to look at this, and we'll go into detail. So you have a quarterly meeting, and you establish a theme and alignment. You establish your goals and desired results. Then, as a senior team, you have a monthly meeting with a strategic session. You plan one major opportunity, or you solve one major problem. You have a weekly meeting, and you take tactical actions, communications, and focus on deliverables. And then you have a daily huddle, which gives you quick synchronization, good news, and then you talk about where you're stuck. And that meeting is usually 7 to 10 minutes. So this sounds like a lot, and you look at it and you say, holy moly, that's a lot of meetings. I can't do that. But I guarantee you, if you do this format and you use this meeting structure, you will actually save 25% of your time in any given week, because the meetings will be productive, they won't be repetitive, they won't be redundant. You'll actually have meetings that go somewhere, and you'll produce results, and then the company will start moving forward. That's actually pretty fun. So the strategic core results that you can expect really will allow you to have increased cash flow, increased profitability, higher business valuation, and as an executive, as a CEO, as a president, as an owner, an entrepreneur, or even a senior team leader, you're going to have a lot more time to enjoy life. Now, whether you spend that time on the business because now you have more downtime, or you spend it in your personal life, is up to you, but you will have more time. You'll have more time to enjoy life, and your business will run much smoother, much faster, and you'll have much better results, as you can see here on the screen. So the workshop details are that we're holding the workshop January 18th to the 20th. It's going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's going to be a cost of $1,250 per person. We've had great success with this over the last 15 years. Everybody just raves about it. We've done this workshop for thousands and thousands of people. So with that, we now have time for questions.
Sure, David. We have a few. The first one's from Craig, and he says he plans to attend, but who else from his team should he bring?
Well, I would bring your key players. So if you're the president, Craig, I would bring your VPs or your directors. I would bring anyone who is in a key decision-making capacity that is part of your inner circle, because you can't operate in a vacuum. Which means it doesn't mean that if you're an entrepreneur that you can't just come by yourself. But if you're a one-man band, I mean, certainly you can. Individuals can and should attend. However, it's most effective if you can bring at least your right-hand man or right-hand woman and your senior team if you can.
Okay, and the last question we have is from JD, and he asked, our people are our best asset, but they also create a lot of issues. How much time will be spent dealing with people issues?
Well, there'll be a lot of time spent on people issues because people, people represent about 70% of your expenses, and people can bring a lot of baggage to work. And oftentimes with people, a lot of times what happens is you get to know your individual workers very well, and we often take too much time making decisions about people that we know are not going to work out. So we are going to spend time, as we talked about earlier, determining who should be in the right seats. Actually, let me start over. What the right seats are, who should be in those seats, and what seats do we need to fill. But then within each department, you can go through and you can say, okay, who are A players? And an A player is somebody that you would immediately rehire. A B player is somebody who does a good job that can be cultivated, or you want to keep in that job. And a C player is just a person who really does not contribute, you don't ever think is going to contribute, and should not really be in the company. So now we can also work on addressing, in the workshop, we can work on how to address certain key personnel issues, because people are the most important part of any business, as I said earlier. And as we'll, if you have great people, a poor strategy can become a great strategy. If you have mediocre people, a great strategy will become a mediocre strategy. So it's very hard to succeed without the right people. So that's something that we're going to spend a lot of time on.
Hey, David, we actually had one more question come in from Paul, and he asked, or he states, I don't have a senior leadership team, so what's the best way for me to implement changes learned at this workshop? Everyone is working at capacity, so time is scarce.
Well, I think Paul's case, I think you should come to the workshop, and I think we can figure that out. I have worked with hundreds of companies over the last several years, and I work with a few companies now who don't have a senior leadership team, and everybody's at capacity. I would say that situation feels unique to Paul, but it is not. Everything has been solved before, thousands and thousands of times. So for Paul, I would suggest coming to the workshop, and let's figure that out, because I know we can solve it. I know that even if you don't have a senior leadership team, there are ways that you can find outside resources. There are ways that we could bring other things to bear to give you some relief and help you grow.
Hey, David, this is Kevin. I've got a couple of questions as well that have come in as well. Okay. And so one of them, I was speaking with one of our members yesterday, and he was asking about the half-day coaching session that you were offering. Could you maybe touch on that for a second?
Sure. So if you come to the workshop, and if you would like, I'm offering a half-day coaching session either at your facility if we can work that out, or over the phone. But that half-day session will be working on your business, on your real-world issues, and there's a lot of value in that, because it's one thing to be in the workshop environment, which will provide tremendous value. It's another thing to then take it to the next level and be able to work on it without the distractions of anyone else around. So we're happy to offer that. I will say that if you come to the workshop and you need me to fly out to California, then I'm happy to do that, but you'll need to cover off the travel expenses. But in terms of my time, that'll be free.
One other question, David, thank you, that just came in as well, was again from one of our members that says, does the structure of the planning process change based on the type of business?
No, as Deming said, the king of quality said, the questions don't change, the answers do. So what that means is that there's a framework, that 4-3-2-1 framework. I've worked with in all kinds of diverse industries. It doesn't really make any difference, from services businesses to manufacturers to companies that provide IT solutions. It really doesn't make any difference. But what makes it specific to every organization are your answers. What matters is what are your KPIs? What is your strategy? Who are your team members? What are you producing? What's your sandbox? All the things that we just breeze through here in this overview. Those things are crucial, and they're specific to you. So this applies to any business in any industry.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, David. Kevin, I'm going to turn everything back over to you now.
Okay. Well, thanks, David, for taking some time to walk through an overview of what you can expect at the workshop. And so if you have any questions, you want to register for the workshop, here's the contact. Please reach out to Robin Taylor. And here's her telephone number and email address. And she would be happy to get you registered for the workshop. We'll also be sending out a copy of the presentation that we just did here via email link to those that have registered for this webinar. And so if you are unable to capture this during the course of the webinar, you can always go back and replay it or visit it. But feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions and get you registered for the workshop. One thing that I will mention to you is that we do also have a block of rooms that we've secured at a discounted rate if you're coming in from out of town from Cincinnati. That room block does expire on December the 28th. And so if you want to get registered, we just want to encourage you to make sure that you get your rooms reserved as well, so that you don't pay an exorbitant amount for your accommodations. So with that,
hey Kevin, Kevin, could I interject something real quick here?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So I know that we went through the materials very quickly, and some people might be wondering if this is for them. So as you contact Robin or Kevin, if you have questions, if you want to talk to me specifically about some details of this, I'm happy to take the time and explain this further. Hard to do in a half an hour webinar to do it justice, because this will have proven results for your organization. But if you're a little unclear or a little on the fence in terms of whether you want to attend or not, I'm more than happy to answer detailed questions for you.
Okay. Thank you, David. Robin, any other questions have come across? Okay, I think we're.
All right, Kevin, I had muted myself, so I had to unmute myself to answer you. No, that's everything for today.
Okay. All right. Well, again, you should have the contact details. If anyone has any further questions or would like to register, please feel free to contact us, and we will be happy to accommodate you. Thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing those of you who have already registered and those who are going to register for the workshop at the workshop along with David. And that's just around the corner, not too far away. And if I don't talk to you before then, we want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. And thank you for your time, and have a great day.